Why do you believe it's so easy today to use fear to program us into being these docile, controlled, it seems like zombies that end up attacking each other, and we end up doing the work for them.
Yes.
So they don't even have to attack us. And so why do you think it's so easy for that to happen these days?
Psychologically, first thing we have to remember is we are at war. Now, this is a thing that I have to always highlight for the people. Just because things look calm in your apartment, your house, on your block, just because everything feels good for the moment does not mean that there is not an active war going on right now. The war of information is the biggest as of right now. Billions of dollars are poured into psychologists in the Department of Defense, the Department of Education, all of these departments. The primary area is psychologists who they use to map out patterns, study those patterns, remove what didn't work, keep adding on what did work, wash, rinse, and repeat, and continue to do that to indoctrinate the masses over and over again. So what they're looking at is, if we use fear, one, we know that chemically has certain chemicals that mix from the brain into the rest of the body. If you get a person to be afraid, you can hypnotize them. You can install command phrases. You can, essentially it's actually what the CIA does, something called PDH, pain drug hypnosis, where they physically induce pain, they drug you, then they hypnotize you. Okay, so you need all those ingredients. They studied this. They did it with Adolf Hitler. Back then, they did it with the U.S. military. They are very good at hypnotizing the people. So they studied that and they said, well, if we have the access to the minds of the people, we use certain colors, we use certain tones, music, etc., and we inject ideas. So they're using these phones, which we all now have, and they're injecting these ideas. You're going to die. You're going to die. Don't you want to see your parents? Don't you want to be around your grandparents? Don't you want to see your children live? Come on, now what's wrong with you? I mean, you got to do this. Come on, now be a hero. Be a hero. And they keep doing that. And as you said, it then becomes self-perpetuating. What I noticed is Joseph Goebbels, who was the senior propagandist under Adolf Hitler, he said, quote, if you tell a lie big enough, long enough, and make it perpetual, people will come to believe it. End quote. It became something known as the big lie. So the U.S. government continues to say, safe and effective, safe and effective. COVID killed this many people. This virus is coming. Get prepared for this long winter. You got to get your shots. You got to get your shot. And they keep repeating it, because repetition, one, is the first law of learning, but two, repetition is also a command installment mechanism. So you got to keep repeating whatever it is. And so the people, if they are weak mentally, they're going to succumb to it. The mind is very weak after a while. And the people are becoming victims of being weak-minded. They don't read. They don't study. They do not exercise mental calisthenics, even though we do physical. So they have to get into that position where they have to realize, I have to sharpen this and build the mental muscle in order for me to fight this enemy. So that's why, again, they use fear, because it's very effective. And as Minister Farrakhan, our brother Nuri, and many others have said, fear is an acronym which stands for false evidence appearing real. So they make you believe that if you do not do this, this will be the negative outcome, when in reality, 9 times out of 10, it's the total opposite. So yes, what they did was, one, they went after the churches. So they convinced the churches to believe that if you utilize your spaces, particularly your parking lots, let us use those as mobile vaccination centers. This is way back in 2017 to 2018. Even before that, in the field of mental health, they use the churches. And the churches go for the contracts, and they make them believe, hell, Jesus is a part of it. Isn't Jesus a part of mental health? It's very sick to the churches. And shout out to those of you who didn't fall for it. But they contracted with them, paid them a lot of money, so that when this would happen, they would use their parking lots as places for people to line up. Number one. Number two, they paid these congregations millions of dollars to get in front of their congregation and convince them to take it. You had some church leaders getting up there saying that if Jesus were here right now, he would take it to get the vaccine. You had people up there, I'm talking about, brother, wolves in sheep's clothing for real, whether if ignorant or intentional. At this point, I would say it the way a police officer in America says, ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law. Well, ignorance is no excuse for selling out your damn people at this point. You can't tell me why I didn't know. No, you should know at this point. So that was one side of it. Number two, they paid a lot of the artists, the celebrities, the athletes to get up here and say this, but they didn't just pay them to say it. They sent, like they send lobbyists on Capitol Hill to go and pay lots of money to these congresspersons. They sent quote unquote scientists. They sent skewed data, heavily omitted data. No one brought up the Pfizer trial data. No one brought up the Moderna trial data. No one brought up the AstraZeneca trial data. They just said, hey, look at all these papers. It says safe and effective. So a lot of these celebrities and athletes, gullible as hell, ignorant as hell, were told safe and effective. They were told, well, look, here's a representative from here. Who would you like to speak to? They paid their manager. The manager said, hey, look, y'all should read this. So a lot of them genuinely believed. They had good intentions. They wanted to help their people.
I believe that too.
They pulled at the heartstring, brother. And we have to be mindful again. Stop believing that evil doesn't exist. We don't want to confront that, because we just want to say, hey, kumbaya, everything is good. Why? Because if evil exists and I acknowledge that it exists, then damn, I'm gonna have to do something about it. And I don't feel like doing nothing about it. That's where a lot of them are. They're very uncomfortable because they're very afraid. So that's another thing that happens. So the churches were used, artists and celebrities and athletes were used. Then comes the low-hanging fruit of grabbing our people with the bribery, right? So that was the donuts, crispy, right? So they like you were bringing up. So now you got, hey, come get a free donut, one free glazed donut from Krispy Kreme's, which coincidentally was partially founded by the Nazis, but we're not going to go there. Or we may. Krispy Kreme donuts, number one. Number two, in Washington, they were giving you joints for jabs. So they were bribing you with weed. That got a chunk of y'all. Damn. Then they were offering alcohol to some people. They were offering free burgers and fries. They were offering free lobster dinners in New Orleans. They were offering this how bad it got, brother. They were offering certain inmates free conjugal visits. They would let whoever you wanted to come, your lover, whatever, get that one phone call to come in, have sex and all that. They in Europe were offering you free 30 minutes with a prostitute.
Wow.
I'm like, wait, hold on, wait a minute. Wait. Since when do they care so much that they're going to offer you all these things for free to take this shot?
Right.
Brother, doesn't sugar help to attack the respiratory system of the body?
Indeed.
Doesn't it help to lean you into a diabetic circumstance to where you more than likely will lean into a coma circumstance to where you eventually will die?
Yeah.
You're giving them all that sugar. You're giving them all that salt. You give it. Please. So it was in stages, degrees, and it was a strategic hit on the people with no evidence. Not one person who attacked you, me, or anybody could name one ingredient in that damn needle.
Yeah.
They couldn't name an ingredient. They couldn't name the trial data. They couldn't tell you how many people took it. It was safe and effective. How? How many people were in the trial? What was the date of the trial?
Yeah.
How did the trial? They don't even know what a trial is. What is phase 1? What's phase? So that's the thing, brother. And my last point I will say is it was not an accident. It was a strategic plan.
Yeah.
Above all else, it was planned. And that's it. We have to be very clear about that before we say, well, hey, it just popped up. It's just a pandemic. No, hell no. War is profitable, and so is a pandemic.
Yeah.
And they are very well aware of that. That's why now that's the strategy is the pandemic. The next strategy, of course, is to hit the monetary financial system through the digital realm, because that's going to be the other way to ensnare the people to make them comply next.
Another